I found this a most interesting case, and I find myself, to be honest, Graeme, probably defending a person that I am at odds with on most other things. What are the avenues open to Liz Gunn to get a discharge without conviction on this assault charge?
She can apply for one, and there'll be a hearing, and up to the judge whether it's be granted, and then, if it doesn't, potentially can appeal.
Yeah.
But the basic principle is, do the consequences of conviction, and my assumption is a conviction hasn't actually been entered yet, but do the consequences of a conviction outweigh the particular offence, and take into account the circumstances of the offender, which there is an offence, there's now an offender, and just do the consequences of conviction outweigh. And sort of.
What would the consequences of an assault conviction be for someone? Would you be able to travel to the United States or overseas unencumbered, or would it be a criminal mark on your immigration records?
It would be. I mean, it's up to other countries how they deal with it.
Yeah.
U.S. law, I think, there's potentially, you might certainly in a lot of countries, sort of visa waiver countries where you don't have to apply for a visa.
Yeah.
You might have to apply for a visa.
Okay.
Because sort of one of the things you tick is, this, and okay, no, we're going to have to look at it.
Yeah. Graeme, you made a really good distinction that I was kind of struggling with yesterday as a layperson. She's been found guilty. Is there a difference between being found guilty and convicted?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so, explain that to
conviction
us.
is a formal step that a judge takes at often at the end of a trial, but where it's a minor case, a conviction isn't entered because as you note, you might be asking for is a discharge without conviction.
Yeah,
and so if it's without conviction, you can't be. You shouldn't have been.
And there are
already.
no rules, and I would have got this wrong. I thought you could only get discharged without conviction or ask for it if you had pled guilty and gone through a restorative justice thing, or can you ask for it in other circumstances?
You can ask for it at the end of a jury trial.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be a factor that is taken into account. Is this person, if someone pleads guilty, a judge might be, slightly more likely, just when weighing up all the factors, should this person get the discharge without conviction? Well, they accept that they did it. They've explained what happened. I can see that the consequences would far outweigh the seriousness of the charge here. And if you plead guilty, you're more likely. Potentially, and it's certainly a factor that the judge would take into account, but there isn't a limit. The only limit, you can't get a discharge without conviction if there is a mandatory minimum.
Okay.
So as a general rule...
Is there a mandatory minimum for assault?
No, there are very few things with mandatory minimum. The basic ones that you have in New Zealand, the mandatory minimums we have are drink driving, where you've got a mandatory disqualification. You have to lose your licence. And there's a few other driving offences like that are the main ones. And if you have to lose your licence, then that's a consequence of conviction, and the judge can't really do much about it. So you had,
Now, I do not want to get you in trouble with the Law Society or the judiciary, Graeme, but it struck me in the reporting of this case yesterday that the judge seemed to express the view that because Liz Gunn was a little bit annoying and obnoxious, that influenced her decision to find her guilty. Ms. Gunn was arrogant, rude, overbearing and offensive in her manner in dealing with the complainant. Is that a crime, being an a-hole?
No, but assault is a crime. And, what has been described, that I haven't, I'm told there might be a video, I haven't seen it.
I have.
The level of force that you need to use is the lightest possible force that's still force. And I mean, technically for an assault, you don't even, a person you sort of feels threatened, a threat.
Oh, like I did outside outside the Israeli National Day,
there was a physical touching. That's enough for there to be an assault. and not the most serious assault by any stretch of the imagination, and assault at the lowest level, and assault being the particular. There's lots of different assaults.
Yeah.
There's assault, and then assault with intent to injure, injuring, grievous bodily harm. Assault is the very lowest level of it.
Graeme, while I've got you here, the other thing, of course, that happened yesterday, Kiri Allan pulled out at the last minute from the important precedent-setting case on whether or not this grey area about whether or not you got a right to see a lawyer. I've just got to say that must have cost a bit of money to set up a judge-alone trial and go through that for nearly a year. And then for the person who was, proudly proclaiming their innocence to turn around and say, no, fair cop, Gov. It seems like a lot of public money was wasted there.
A lot of private money would have been wasted
Well.
We won't have been paying for a lot. Like, there will have been a bit, but like it's like sort of, I don't know if it's waste of money, but waste of time. So, the judge was going to be paid either way. The police officers were going to be paid either way, and so how much? I don't know that there will have been extra money spent, except by except by and this is even for
the terrible thing, Graeme, is of course this grey area remains, and there are so many people that Kiri was going to go into fight for who are now in peril.
They can fight for themselves. There's a grey area. They can try it as well.
Yeah.
Someone will do it at some point.
Yeah.
Someone for whom it matters, and it'll usually be someone who's, this is Kiri's first offence or first, offence in a long time.
Actually, she had a previous drink driving conviction. 20 years earlier.
Yes. I wasn't sure if there was a conviction in that case or if it was.
Or she was paying for drink driving 20 years earlier.
Yes.